Second time in a day.
Judd, Zulgad, Jess Myers, 1500ESPN.com. Thanks for coming to the website. We are speaking to you from XL Energy Center, where Monday night the Wild wins a thriller, 1-0 in overtime. Granlund scores in overtime. The series in the first round, Colorado still leads 2-1. Game 4 will be Thursday. I was going to say Wednesday.
8:30 p.m.
8:30 p.m. face-off.
We had an early start tonight. We got a late start that night.
Stay up late for that game. All right, let's start off with this game. Jess, there were the Wild should have won Game 1. I think we all agree on that. There were points in Game 2 where they looked very good. There were points in Game 2 where they did not look good and Colorado was dominant. The key to me tonight is, 1, the Wild dominated a lot of this game. 2, what the Wild did tonight was they nullified Colorado's speed. In your estimation, what did they do to slow down McKinnon and the rest of the Avalanche?
A little bit different Wild team tonight, and I think that was a key. They put guys like Cody McCormick back there. They inserted Danny Heatley back into the lineup. And the big difference, I think, is Darcy Kemper in goal. He looked, for a kid who had never started an NHL playoff game before, he played a couple games just kind of mop-up duty last year.
Yep.
Looked so calm, looked so collected, only faced, 20-some shots as opposed to the 46 shots, a franchise record that the Wild put down on the other end. But I think that was just a huge kind of calming influence, that when that line would make rushes, and that line with Landeskog and McKinnon, and Stastny, which those guys are so good offensively,
yep.
They're going to get their chances. If you can nullify those chances and do it in just a calm way that you're not scrambling around for the puck, that made such a difference in the Wild's confidence tonight.
Despite what Mike Yo says, in your opinion, was there more of a game plan for how to slow that line in Game 3 than there might have been in Game 1, and especially Game 2?
I think so. I think there has to be, just because that line has shown, what it can do in the first 2 games. I mean, in Game 1, you need a couple goals here at the end of regulation to win this game. Okay, we'll do that. We'll tie it. We'll send it to overtime. We'll win it, done just like that. That second game, keep in mind, the Wild had a 1-0 lead in that game. We're playing their kind of hockey. We're doing everything they needed to do, and all of a sudden McKinnon just says, okay, I'm going to take this over now. So what this team can do. As much as they say, we're just going to play our game, we're going to stick with our game plan, you have to make adjustments for that line, and I think they have.
Young Mikael Granlund is 22 years old. He had a disappointing first season with the Wild. He was much better this season, somewhat slowed just by concussions, but still very good when he played. He was outstanding in the Sochi games, and that goal he scored tonight in overtime was about as nice a piece of individual work, especially in a pressure situation, as you will get.
I said, a little bit of shades of Blake Wheeler back when he was with the Gophers, sliding, on his stomach in midair, they're swatting at the puck. A little bit, almost a Bobby Orr-esque goal, but, not quite those stakes. Right. What I loved about what Mike Yo said about Granlund tonight after the game is, Granlund was getting hit throughout the game. This has been his game as long as he's played. He's used to being the center of attention. He's used to getting hit repeatedly, and, that's just the game he plays, because he can adjust to it and he can still get to the net. He's fearless, and he can make those plays.
What impressed me, too, about that goal is it looked like it was by accident, but I'm not so sure that he didn't shed the first defenseman on purpose by bouncing himself off the boards.
Yeah.
He almost used the boards. I don't think I've ever seen this before. He almost used the boards as his own springboard to get by the first defenseman. Eric Johnson had gone down, and then Granlund, with the puck on his stick, falls himself. Varlamov's down and scores, sweeps the puck in the net. But that was a very impressive goal by him. Darcy Kemper, what impresses me here, when Brizgalov would drive me crazy at times, Kemper makes the first save, and then he either is able to kick it out where it goes to the corners, which is just fine, or he controls it. Those juicy rebounds just aren't there with Kemper.
Yeah, and, we talked about this a little bit after the first game where, early on in the first round of the playoffs, all these games were seemingly 5-4, or, if you're San Jose, you're scoring 7 goals a game. We weren't seeing the tight defensive games, and tonight we saw that, and you absolutely need a goalie that's not going to give up rebounds, that's going to control the first shot, get a face-off in your own end, and, hey, we'll take our chances and win face-offs at home.
Jess Myers, you've covered this team all season. Explain this to me. Why do they need to be on the precipice of disaster to play their best? Late December, they're going awful. Mike Yo almost gets fired, we think.
Yep.
They rebound. Late in the season, before they went to Phoenix, a game that you attended, when Parisi and Suter and Koivu got all the players together and talked to them, they looked like they might miss the playoffs, and now they're down 2-0. They didn't play that bad in Game 1, but the Wild team that we saw tonight was about as good as I've ever seen the Wild. They dominated at times tonight. Why do they need to be on the brink of disaster?
I've got to credit our good friend Mike Russo, who gave me this line. the Wild refuse to do anything the easy way. I mean, this is just a team that they're the cardiac kids. They have to be, like you say, on the brink of disaster at all times to make it work. And, you know, to their credit, they played a great game tonight, but let's not kid ourselves. I mean, they're still down 2-1. They're still facing having to go to Colorado and win at least one game to win this series. And Erik Johnson, you know, who I've known since he was a Gopher, said it best tonight. He said, hey, credit the Wild. They played a great game, but we're still playing with house money. We're up 2-1 in this series. We've got the home ice advantage, and, you know, they still feel good about themselves. So, you know, with the Wild to put in that kind of effort to only get away with a 1-0 win, Colorado's still, you know, a team to be reckoned with here.
Last thing for you, the Cooke knee on Barry, the defenseman for Colorado, who's now out, 4 to 6 weeks with an MCL, so his season might be finished. This is Matt Cooke. This is going to be a hot button topic.
Yes.
He appeared to stick his knee out. That's not legal. He could be suspended.
Right.
But nonetheless, this isn't Zach Parise making a mistake. This is a guy who basically came here to the Wild this year and said, I've changed my ways, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. What's the fallout of this going to be?
This is going to be, I would think, knowing the way they do things in the playoffs, where the suspensions aren't as long just because the stakes are higher, I think we're looking at a 3-game suspension, similar to what we saw in the Chicago series with that, you know, hard hit on David Backes. I think it's going to be a big loss for the Wild. And I think as much as the hit was knee on knee, I think this is in part based on reputation. Keep in mind, if he's suspended, this will be the 6th time in Matt Cooke's career that he has been suspended by the NHL or fined or whatever else, including 2011, just 2 years ago. He was suspended for the entire first round of the playoffs when he was with Pittsburgh. So a lot of it is based on reputation. People think this is the kind of player that Matt Cooke is. We haven't seen that this year here in Minnesota, but it's the playoffs. He changes his game, and I think it's going to warrant at least a couple games.
All right, we're done. He's Jess Myers. Read his stuff, 1500ESPN.com, covers the Wild for us. I'm Judd Zulgad. Listen to me with Mackey, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Weekdays. Wild wins on Monday in Game 3, 1-0 over the Avalanche. The series now 2-1. Colorado leads Game 4 back here at the X on Thursday evening. It should be interesting. Thanks for coming to 1500ESPN.com.